Fix wear and cracking on leather with our leather repair filler and leather dye repair kit. Very high quality leather chair. It's seen better days. You can see a lot of cracking upon the finish and wear, and of course a lot of soil. So first what we're going to do is we're going to clean this up, then we're going to apply a leather repair filler to fix all the cracking. We're going to apply our leather touch-up dyes over top of the leather repair filler, and then we're going to apply a sealer, and this area is pretty much going to look like new again and last. So here's our basic leather cleaning kit. It comes with a 22-ounce cleaner and the leather cleaning and dusting cloth. We've made the leather cleaning and dusting cloth wet. We're going to spray the cleaner onto the soiled arm. Just going to let that sit a minute. What I'm doing here is I'm just seeing if that leather cleaner is soaking down into the soil and loosening up the dirt, which it is. This is pretty much years worth of who knows what, oils, creams, conditioners, oil and acids from your skin, dye transfer from jackets or clothing, anything. It can be anything on there. But as you can see right here, the leather cleaner is loosening that up, and it's really on there thick. You can see it just sort of peeling off. And we've made our leather cleaning cloth wet to give it density. Okay, we're just going to wipe this area down. See it coming off, but it's almost like a wax. Very waxy. We're just going to have to give it a little bit of agitation to get the leather cleaner into that wax. And then wipe it away. And of course you can see that it's coming off. Might have to do it a few times. This was pretty bad. Just agitated a little bit with the glove. I'm just going to wipe that clean. Okay, so now we're going to let this dry, and we're going to prepare the finish to accept the filler. We'll be back in a minute. Okay, so now that this area is dry, we've dried it overnight. You have to remember that when we're spraying leather cleaner on to this surface here, it can be wiped away. But this has no protection, so whatever leather cleaner we put in here, it's going to soak into the hide. It's very important that this dries perfectly, okay, before you apply the leather repair filler. So here's the leather repair filler kit. You get your spatula, some gloves, some sandpaper, instructions, leather repair cloth if you have a rip, and of course the leather repair filler. So first thing we're going to do is sand this area down a bit with our ultra sandpaper. And what you want to do is just sand it down so it's nice and smooth. That's all we're looking for. No aggressive pressure, just lightly onto the surface, back and forth. Okay. Feels pretty good to me. It's always best too to get your leather cleaning cloth and just sort of wipe out the dust that you've created from inside the cracks. So now that's nice and clean. We have our leather repair filler. We're going to open it up. And we're going to do the fun part. going to apply it onto the worn areas. Very simply. Just wipe it in and just sort of wipe it off. Wipe it in to the crack and wipe it off. So what you want to do is you just want to sort of get it into the crack. Put a nice thin coat on. And later, once it's dried, if you've missed a spot, then it's not a problem. You can just apply some filler at that time. And it spreads really nice and smooth and easy. It's not runny. It's not difficult to work with. It's very easy to work with. The consistency of our filler is unmatched to anything else you can find out there. We like it. We like it a lot. It does a really nice job. And again, you know, you have some time to play with it here and try to do a nice job. It's not going to dry on you right away or anything like that. Very easy to apply, very easy to work with. Okay, if there's any areas like this, just sort of wipe them with your finger or your glove. But if you do wipe it with your finger, you can just wipe it off or wash it off with some soap and water. It's not a problem. So we're going to let that dry. Give it about, this area, since it's such a thin coat, you're probably looking at about 6 hours. And then we'll be back. Okay, so we're back. We've let this cure overnight. Did a really nice job, but we can see that there's still a little bit of wear in there. So we're going to put another coat on here. You could apply the dyes and, you know, refinish it if you weren't really picky or what have you, but, you know, we're kind of picky here, so we're going to put one more coat on there, and of course the leather filler is going to bond that much better because now it has a really nice foundation. So we're going to put one more coat on there, and you're going to see that it's going to go on a little bit thicker now. Sometimes one coat just, it isn't good enough. You actually need to put on 2 coats, and it does a really nice job. And take your time with it. There's no rush. The best repairs are the ones that are not rushed. That's for sure. Pretty much universal. And if you forgot to do some, you can go ahead and do that now. And with this leather filler too, it doesn't, I mean, all things that have water in them or something, you know, will dissipate. It will shrink to a certain degree, but this is nothing to be concerned about. Not like some products where you put them in, you need like 5 coats to get them up to the surface of the leather. Not with this. 2 is most likely enough. Only shrinks a very minimal amount. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. We're going to let that sit overnight. We'll be back again. Oh, and one little trick that you can do. Some people are like, well, how do you know that the leather filler is cured? When you're wiping off your palette knife, just get a piece of paper or newspaper and spread it on approximately as thick as you have it on the chair. Let that sit, let that dry, and you can test the areas to see if it's cured or not. You're going to see that this is going to take longer to cure because it's a thicker area, and this isn't going to take as long to cure because it's a thinner area. So leave that aside. You can leave that here. We'll be back, and I'll show you tomorrow how this cured up on our test area. Okay, so we're back about 12 hours later. We got our little test piece here where we put our filler, and as you can see, it's fully cured. There's no moisture left in it. You can tell there's strength in it. So that means that our work is fully cured. And now we can go ahead and just sand it down and make it really nice and smooth before we apply the leather dyes. We'll be back in a minute. Okay, so we're back after sanding this area down with our sandpaper, making it really smooth. The next thing you want to do, which is quite important, is you have to make sure that it's perfectly clean. The different areas that you sanded will make a little bit of pilling, so you want to make sure, take your leather cleaning cloth, a dry one, and just sort of wipe it down. And make sure that there is nothing left on the surface, or else that's going to interfere with your work. So now, here we have our professional leather dye. This is in a tan A color, which is the same color as this chair. We're going to shake it up. Apply it to the sponge. And first thing you want to do is just sort of wipe on one thin area. You just want the filler to soak into that porous filler. Just one thin coat, and as you can see, this is a very, very thin coat. And it's getting soaked into the leather repair filler. We're going to dry this with a hair dryer. It's probably going to take about 2 minutes. We'll be back. Okay, so we've dried this, and now what we're going to do is start to put on our dye a little bit thicker. And each time, each coat you put on, you're going to notice that it's going to start to look richer and richer. Okay, so we're going to dry that. We'll be back in a minute. Okay, so we're back again. Those were 2 thin coats. Now we're going to start to put the dyes on a little bit thicker, and the way you would do that is by dabbing them on. And when you dab the dyes on, sometimes they'll bubble. You'll see little bubbles in there that you're creating. Well, when you take the hair dryer to it, those bubbles will just disappear. It's not a big deal. Okay. Just try to dab it on evenly. Make sure you cover all your work that you've done with the filler. Put a couple good coats of dye on top of that. Dry this. We're using a heat gun, but we recommend that you use a hair dryer. This way you will not burn the leather. put another coat on. Now as apply the dyes very gently, you don't have to really aggressively rub or anything like that. Okay, this is looking pretty good. We're going to dry this up. We may put another coat on here and then we'll be back to seal it. Okay, so we're going to put our last coat on. This repair is looking beautiful. We're happy with it, but we're just going to put one more coat on it just for good measure. Here in the creases, what you want to do is just fill those creases up with the dye. Now you can see that they're totally filled in. Just let that dry. It's going to dry perfectly. Okay? You don't need to wipe them or anything like that. Just fill the dye up in those creases and they will look beautiful afterwards once it's all dry and cured. Okay, so that's the last finishing coat. Now let's dry it up. And the last thing what we're going to do is we're going to get a new sponge and we're going to apply our leather sealer. And what this leather sealer is going to do is it's going to lay upon the surface, it's going to protect, it's going to cure into the dyes, and it's going to provide you with a protective top coat that when you clean your furniture thereafter, all the soil is just going to wipe right off that top coat. This is the protector. Shake it up, apply it evenly to the sponge, and just simply wipe it in. Dry that up. And there you have it. There's a beautiful repair. This part of the chair has been faded from the sun and is slightly soiled. This part of the chair here, of course, hasn't been cleaned and has been worn. This is a fully protected, completed arm. It looks beautiful. This is our professional leather dye, our sealer, and of course, our leather repair filler does a really nice job. You can find this and many more products at leathertouchupdye.com. Okay, so this is all completed now. As you can see, feels beautiful, and it has full flex. It's not bending and flexing in those cracked areas anymore. This is a completed leather arm. It's beautiful now.
To order this and many other fine leather products, go to leathertouchupdye.com.